The hour has come, and I need your full attention because what I am about to say cannot wait another heartbeat. I have watched you walk through shadows with trembling steps, praying beneath your breath for something, anything to shift, to break open, to reveal that I am still near. And I have been here, not in the distance you imagined, but closer than your thoughts, breathing beside you in your silence. You have reached a moment in time that heaven carved out just for this. I am not speaking through signs, or dreams, or whispers now. I am speaking directly to your heart, and I will not be ignored. The world may be spinning faster than your soul can process. Chaos may be climbing through every crevice of your life, but I have come in this very instant to still the storm with my voice. You feel the weight of everything pressing on your chest, and yet here I am pressing even closer with love, power, and truth. You have not wandered too far. You have not missed the turning point. You have not disappointed me to the degree that I would ever withdraw. No, instead I have leaned in. I have come now with an urgency you cannot shake. I need to stop the spiral, to pull you from the battlefield within your own mind, and deliver words that will heal what years of striving could not. I need you to pause, not tomorrow, not when you finish that task, not when you're alone later, but right now. This is not the type of message you skim over. This is a rescue wrapped in my voice. You are not reading by accident. You are not here by coincidence. You are not too broken, too behind, too far gone. You are perfectly positioned for me to interrupt everything you thought would happen, because what I'm about to do is far greater than what you imagine. My child, I've delayed nothing. I was preparing this moment. You've learned to carry your questions without speaking them aloud, hoping maybe if you stayed quiet long enough, the pain would settle and the answers would rise to the surface like breath through still waters. But I see the ache behind the quiet, and I will not let you wonder 1 second longer. I hear the unspoken things. I know what you haven't told anyone, even the things you couldn't name if you tried. You've cried beneath layers of strength. You've smiled to keep others from seeing the heaviness growing inside you like a weight chained to your ribs. You have tried to stay faithful, to hold on when everything told you to let go. And now I speak not to your circumstances first, but to your soul, the part of you that's barely holding on while pretending to be strong. You asked if I still talk to you, if I still remember, if you're still seen among the billions, and I answer right now, yes. I see. I know. I care. And I speak. The answers you've been begging for won't come through others this time. They will come from me, because I am piercing the silence with my presence and flooding your hidden places with light. You've looked for signs, confirmations, messages from strangers, and flecks of hope in the chaos, but now I myself speak straight into your searching. The delays didn't mean denial, they meant divine timing. The silence wasn't abandonment, it was sacred stillness, preparing your spirit to receive what noise would have drowned out. And now you are ready. You may not feel it, but I know it. You may still doubt, but I do not. You may be uncertain, but I am unwavering. My answers come with power. My words don't miss their target. And my voice will now become the loudest one in your life if you will just lean in. One more moment longer. I have heard every invisible cry that your mouth never released, every plea pressed beneath your tongue because you thought no one would understand or care. But I, the one who formed your innermost being, have felt every tremor in your soul. The heaviness you've been dragging like a shadow through each day was never yours to carry alone. I've watched you try to be strong for everyone else, try to smile while your knees buckled beneath the burdens of disappointment, confusion, regret, and fear. You thought carrying it made you responsible, but it only made you weary. You thought staying quiet made you noble, but it only made you feel invisible. And now, at this moment when the weight threatens to collapse everything within, I am stepping in with urgency, not just to comfort you, but to remove what was never yours. My hands are open, stretched toward you right now, not with judgment, but with deliverance. You weren't meant to hold every broken piece together. I was. You weren't designed to figure everything out while your heart unraveled in the background. I designed you to trust me in the mystery. This is not a time for you to hold on tighter, it's a time to release. Give me what is crushing you. Hand over the worry that consumes your sleep, the guilt that suffocates your peace, the secrets that haunt your mind like ghosts in the hallway of your memory. This is not your burden to analyze or manage. This is my assignment to redeem. And I will. But you must let go. I will not rip it from your grasp. I will wait for your surrender, and I will take it gently, but I must take it now, because what is ahead of you cannot be carried with chains from the past. You feel like your chest is a battleground, like your hope is under siege, and you're not wrong. But the battle is not yours to fight. This is not just emotional. This is spiritual, and I'm here to deliver you from what no one else saw you fighting. The people around you may never understand the full weight of what you've endured, but I do. I was there through every sleepless night when you clutched your pillow trying to muffle your sobs. I was present when you stood in the mirror questioning your worth, measuring yourself against lies. I was beside you in every moment you almost gave up. And I need you to know, this is where I intervene. Not later. Not next season. Not when you're stronger. Now, I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for surrender. I'm not demanding answers. I'm offering restoration. I'm not warning you, I'm inviting you. Don't try to manage your way out of this yield. There's a reason you're here, reading this line, feeling your heart stir like it hasn't in a long time. It's not random. It's not a coincidence. It's your rescue. I'm not simply lifting your burdens to give you a break. I'm lifting them because I'm about to fill your hands with something new, something you couldn't receive while they were full of pain. You've delayed joy, thinking it was irresponsible to be lighthearted while you carried so much, but I am removing the weight to restore your ability to laugh without guilt, breathe without tension, and dream again without fear. Yes, dream. Because what I have for you is not survival, it's overflow. And that begins the moment you trust me enough to release what you've hidden for too long. You've been strong. Now be free. You've lived each day like a soldier in disguise, smiling when it hurt, answering I'm fine when your soul was unraveling, showing up for everyone while secretly wondering who would notice if you fell apart. You've built a fortress of composure so high that even you began to believe it. But I see through it all. I see the cracks behind your laughter, the exhaustion behind your generosity, the storms behind your silence. You've tried so hard to be the strong one, to hold your world together while yours was crumbling from the inside out. But I never asked you to hide the ache from me. I never asked you to be flawless. I never asked you to wear masks for my sake. I am not impressed by your ability to pretend. I'm moved by your willingness to be real. And now, in this sacred moment, I am not calling you to impress me. I'm calling you to rest in me. You don't have to earn my comfort. You don't have to qualify for my embrace. I am reaching for you with the tenderness of someone who knows every single thing you've buried, every emotion you told yourself you weren't allowed to feel, every moment you broke privately so others could remain whole. And I say to you now, enough. Enough of the pretending. Enough of the inner torment while your exterior remains composed. Enough of believing that vulnerability is weakness. Come, my child, into the arms that have waited patiently for you to stop performing and simply collapse into grace. You don't need more prayer, you need presence. You don't need another plan, you need peace. And peace is not found in doing more. It is found in allowing me to meet you in your raw, unfiltered truth. Bring me the tears you've stored behind locked doors. Bring me the fears you've never said out loud. Bring me the fatigue that no one else can see because you're always the one doing well. You don't have to carry your brave face into my presence, I already know what's behind it. You held so much for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to be held. But I am here, not with criticism, not with shame, but with compassion that will wrap around you tighter than the pain ever did. Let me sit with you in the moments no one else understands. Let me be the place where your tears are safe, not hidden. You were never created to be invincible. You were created to be beloved. And that means you are allowed to exhale. That means you are allowed to tremble in my arms without the fear of rejection. I'm not here to fix you like a broken object. I'm here to embrace you like a precious child who just needs to be reminded that it's okay to fall apart when I'm the one who holds the pieces. There's no shame in needing comfort. There's no weakness in admitting you're not okay. There is power in allowing me to minister to the part of you that never learned how to stop pretending. Right now, you don't need answers, you need presence. You need to feel the warmth of heaven against the ache in your chest. And I offer it to you without conditions. You've comforted others, now let me comfort you. You've shown up for everyone, now I'm showing up for you. Don't run. Don't reason it away. Don't shrink this moment. Let me in. Because when you do, the tears you've hidden will no longer be signs of defeat, they will be signs of release. And I've waited so long to meet you right here, just as you are. No filter. No performance. Just you, the one I adore. This is not a time for delay, distraction, or disbelief. This moment has been divinely positioned before the hours unfold, because what is approaching will either break your rhythm or bless your readiness, depending entirely on whether you respond to me now. I am not speaking to entertain your curiosity. I am speaking to prepare your spirit for what will not wait. Tonight, something shifts. Not in some far-off season, not next week, tonight. And if your heart is not aligned with mine before it arrives, you may mistake a divine interruption for chaos, or overlook a sacred opportunity because fear clouds your sight. I'm not trying to frighten you. I'm calling you into clarity. You felt the air around you tighten, the tension in your days stretch thin, the urgency pulsing louder than usual, and that is because heaven is moving in real time. Something has been released in the unseen realm, and it is heading straight into your reality, carrying consequence, purpose, and breakthrough. But only those who are listening will recognize it for what it is. I don't need you to be afraid, I need you to be attentive. I don't need your anxiety, I need your alertness. Because when it shows up, be it in a conversation, a phone call, an unexpected silence, or a door that swings wide open, you must discern, not doubt. You must respond, not retreat. And that can only happen if your heart is tuned to my voice before the moment arrives. You may feel unequipped, too distracted, too busy with other concerns, but this is why I'm interrupting you now. I know what's coming. I've seen what's being orchestrated around you. I've heard the decisions being made in rooms you cannot see. I've seen the enemy pacing at the edge of your territory, searching for a way to pull you into confusion before you recognize the blessing that's about to step into your space. But I will not allow it if you stay with me. Do not underestimate the significance of what I'm whispering. This is not your ordinary day. What's unfolding in the background will meet the front stage of your life before the night settles, and how you respond will determine whether you rise into purpose or retreat into familiar fears. I need you to come away from the noise. I need you to quiet the voices that always get your first attention. I need you to place your ear against my chest and listen not just to what I say, but to what I mean. The people around you may not sense the gravity of this hour. They may think it's just another evening. But I have opened your eyes to something deeper, and now that you see, you must act. Prepare not with panic, but with prayer. Position yourself not with control, but with surrender. Watch not with suspicion, but with expectation. Because tonight, the heavens and the earth will meet in your story. What seemed delayed will begin to stir. What felt forgotten will breathe again. What was locked will respond to the sound of your obedience. But none of it will make sense unless you are listening. Don't sleep through this moment. Don't let weariness dull your spirit. This is not just about breakthrough, it's about alignment. I am aligning you with people, with timing, with divine interruptions that carry instructions for your next move. And you must be prepared to obey before logic has time to argue. So listen. Be still. Be bold. Be yielded. Because when the moment comes that it will, you won't have time to pause and figure it out. You will need to move with the flow of my spirit like one who was already ready. And that readiness begins right now, in this sacred space between your old season and what's coming before the stars finish rising. You've questioned why the timelines kept shifting, Why what seemed certain dissolved into uncertainty. Why the things you pursued with a sincere heart never turned into what you hoped they would. You've watched opportunities pass you by like trains you thought you were supposed to be on, only to be left standing with nothing but unanswered prayers and a whispering ache. But here is the truth I need you to hold right now. Nothing was wasted. Every closed path, every still moment, every not yet was not a punishment, it was precision. I was not ignoring you. I was orchestrating something more aligned with your calling than you could see through your own limited lens. If I had opened that door too soon, it would have crushed you. If I had said yes when you begged, it would have derailed what I was really building for you in secret. You mistook silence for rejection, but it was me shielding you from what you thought you wanted. You saw detours, I saw divine routing. You saw gaps in the journey, I saw room to breathe and mature. I've been teaching you how to wait without losing heart, how to believe even when the evidence feels invisible, how to trust me not only when the path is clear, but especially when it vanishes. And now, the stillness you once resented has become the stillness that allows you to hear me with clarity. The noise of your striving has finally quieted enough for my whisper to become unmistakable. I did not forget the things you were waiting on, I remembered them even more fiercely than you did. But I love you too much to let you walk into something unprepared, too deeply to allow premature blessings to rob you of long-term peace. And now, in this exact moment, I have cracked open a window that all of heaven has been waiting for. This is the window that couldn't open until your heart was softened by surrender, until your ears were ready to hear with discernment, until your hands were empty enough to receive what I've been holding for you. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are perfectly timed for what I am about to do next. Don't curse the delays, they were carrying you here. Don't resent the locked doors, they were guarding you from unnecessary harm. And don't fear missing anything, because what I have prepared for you does not require competition, nor does it depend on the speed of others. It is tailored for you. It is woven with threads of purpose you can't yet comprehend. It is soaked in grace and sealed with my authority. But it is only visible to the one who stops long enough to look at me instead of the detours. You keep asking me to move, but I am asking you to pursue. What I am revealing now isn't flashy, but it is sacred. It isn't loud, but it is life-changing. And it can only be recognized by the one who has been patiently forged in the fire of waiting. You are that one. You've endured the silence, the confusion, the aching in between, and now your spirit has been tuned to my timing. That is why you're here. That is why you're reading this exact line, at this exact hour. Not a second of your waiting was meaningless. Every delay was divine. And this window, this sacred sliver of time is opening because you didn't walk away. Now let me show you what you almost gave up on. Let me reveal what's been maturing beneath the surface while you were learning to trust me with nothing but faith. What's coming doesn't look like the doors that locked. It looks like the ones I've been preparing just for you, doors that cannot close now because I have opened them. You've walked through rooms filled with voices and still felt utterly alone, carrying an invisible wound that no one dared to see, let alone touch. You smiled when your soul was crumbling, answered questions with nods when inside you were pleading for someone to just look closer. And though others have passed by unaware, though even those closest to you have missed the signs written all over your eyes, I never missed one single breath of anguish. I watched as you swallowed emotions too heavy for your heart, just to appear okay. I've been there in every hour you stared at the ceiling, wondering why the ache grew louder when the world got quiet. And I want you to hear this clearly now. I was never absent. I was never distant. I was never ignoring your ache while you tried to keep breathing under the weight of what you couldn't explain. You've interpreted my silence as indifference, but my presence had been your protection all along. What felt like unanswered longing was actually me wrapping my spirit around you so tightly that even despair couldn't crush you completely. I was holding what you couldn't articulate. I was interceding for you when you didn't even have the strength to form the words. You didn't see the moments I stood between you and spiritual collapse, how I shielded your mind from the darkness that tried to invade your rest. And though it felt like no one cared enough to reach deeper, I was already beneath the surface, speaking hope to places you forgot even existed. I've captured every tear, not as a record of your suffering, but as seeds for the harvest of healing that is now being prepared. You haven't cried in vain. You haven't endured in vain. I've been collecting those sacred tears and soaking your future in the fragrance of endurance. Even now, as you wonder if your pain has any purpose, I say to you, it does. You always had. Nothing you felt is wasted. Your emotions are not a threat to me. Your vulnerability is not a burden. Your silence didn't hide you from me, it only made me hold you closer. And now, I want to take you to a place where you no longer need to wear that mask. Where you no longer assume that pain has to stay tucked away in the shadows of your strength. I want to bring you into a freedom where nothing within you needs to remain unseen. Because I see it all, and I love you completely, not despite it, but through it. You were never too broken. You were never too fragile. You were never too quiet for my attention. The pain that others overlook has become the place I now pour my presence. I'm not here to simply remind you that you're noticed. I'm here to prove that you've been surrounded by me all along. The whispers in the dark didn't go unnoticed. The quiet prayers through clenched teeth didn't vanish into the void. They came straight to me. And I've been responding, not always with loud miracles, but with strategic mercy. I preserved your soul when it wanted to give up. I wrapped your heart in unseen grace when it was on the edge of shattering. And now, I'm gently calling you into a greater truth. You have never been invisible to me. Your deepest emotions have not scared me. Your honesty has not repelled me. In fact, it has drawn me closer. So let this moment become the place where you stop hiding your pain as if it disqualifies you from intimacy with me. I want to meet you there, not after you recover, not once you fixed it, but in the raw, aching center of it all. That is where my love will flood like a river, washing, healing, restoring what you thought no one else even noticed. What you cannot see with your natural eyes is already stirring in the unseen places that govern everything about to unfold in your life. While the world around you appears normal, and the rhythm of daily responsibilities beats on without interruption, something extraordinary is taking place just beyond the veil. Your name hath been brought into divine conversations. Angels have been dispatched. The heavens are shifting positions. Alignments are being recalibrated. Doors that have never before responded to your voice are trembling at the sound of your obedience. But this moment demands more than passive awareness, it requires immediate response. You cannot sleep through this move. You cannot stay seated while your destiny is standing at the edge of manifestation. There are assignments being reassigned, territories being claimed, atmospheres being rearranged in preparation for your arrival into the next chapter I have authored for you. This is not a general shift, it is specific to you. This is not a broad wave of change, it is a deliberate turning of time that bears your name etched in the middle of it. Every delay you experienced was not to punish, but to preserve this precise second where your yes unlocks what prayers alone could not. You have reached a thin place, a supernatural corridor, where obedience and acceleration collide. One move, one whisper, one yielded moment can ripple through generations. But you cannot hesitate. I have seen your thoughts wander. I have watched you hesitate out of fear that you're not ready or not worthy. But child, worth was never the requirement, willingness is. You don't have to know every detail. You don't need to prepare a strategy. You only need to respond. The sound of my call has been increasing in volume, not to pressure you, but to prevent you from missing the moment assigned to your transformation. I am not just speaking to comfort you, I am speaking to activate you. This shift will not wait for convenience. It will not linger for your calendar. It will not slow down to match your comfort zone. It is moving, and you must move with it. There are blessings riding on your obedience. There are people whose deliverance is connected to your voice, your gifts, your surrendered life. You were not called to remain dormant while the spiritual world reshapes around you. You are not an observer in this. You are a key. You are a carrier. You are a messenger. And the reason the pressure has increased is because something in you is being awakened by divine fire. that restlessness in your chest, that holy discontent, that sense that something is about to change. It's all me. I am not only calling you forward, I'm dismantling every lie that told you your time was later, your purpose was small, or your impact was accidental. No more delay. No more hiding. No more shrinking back to appease the expectations of others. I have called you, and heaven has echoed the call. Now the earth waits for your reply. The moment your yes leaves your spirit, things will begin to move that you never even touched. Favor will begin to form in rooms you haven't entered. Walls will fall in places you've never set foot. Because when I speak your name in the heavenlies, all of creation begins to bend in your direction, waiting for you to say, "Here I am, Lord." So speak it now. Not with fear, not with uncertainty, but with faith that knows something eternal is being unleashed. This is not the time to debate with your doubt. This is the hour to rise with resolve. Respond to the call not later, not after the next sign, but now, because what's arriving isn't waiting. It's here, and it's looking for you. Don't let the lie convince you that eloquence is the key to my heart. I have never required a flawless prayer or a rehearsed answer from you. What I am searching for in this hour is not a string of impressive phrases, but the raw, real surrender of your innermost self. I am not waiting for you to impress me with spiritual vocabulary. I'm reaching for the broken, unedited, unrehearsed yes that comes from a place no one else sees. You've spent too long filtering yourself, trying to figure out how to approach me like someone trying to earn access. But child, I already tore the veil. You already have access, not because of your effort, but because of my love. Right now, as the weight of this season presses in, I need your full attention. Not the distracted version of you who gives me whatever time is left at the end of the day. I need your full gaze. I need the part of you that knows deep down I'm the only one who truly understands what you're walking through. Your surrender doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It just needs to be honest. Say yes in your weariness. Say yes in your hesitation. Say yes even if your voice trembles. Because your yes is not a sign that you're ready, it's a sign that you trust me more than your fear. The shift that's happening in the unseen requires that you participate not with perfection, but with availability. I know you feel unqualified. I know you think someone else would be a better choice. But I'm not calling someone else, I'm calling you. And I'm not confused about what you're capable of. I see the gaps in your strength, and I choose you still. What I am building in this moment needs someone who's willing, not someone who has everything figured out. I need your heart more than your resume. I need your openness more than your explanation. I need you, not the version you show to others, but the one who stands quietly at the edge of surrender, wondering if I'll still take you as you are. And I will. Always. The sooner you let go of the pressure to be impressive, the sooner you'll discover how powerful your simple surrender can be. There is more waiting for you on the other side of this yes than you can possibly comprehend. There are chains that will fall off the moment you release control. There are miracles tied to your obedience that won't activate until your heart yields without conditions. Your hesitation has delayed enough. Your overthinking has stalled doors that were already swinging open. And now, this sacred moment requires your undivided yes, not based on how things look, but based on who I am. Your surrender is the soil in which the supernatural will bloom. Your attention is the offering I desire more than any performance. When you look to me without distraction, when you yield without resistance, heaven starts responding in dimensions you can't yet see. The posture of your heart will determine what opens and what remains unseen. And I need you to understand. I am not asking you to carry this alone. I'm inviting you to step into what I've already prepared. The journey doesn't begin with action, it begins with agreement. Will you agree with me even before you understand? Will you lean into what your spirit knows is right, even when your mind is full of questions? Say yes now. Let it rise from the silence of your soul. Let it echo louder than the doubts. Let it be enough, not because of what you know, but because of who you're saying yes to. I will meet your surrender with strength. I will meet your availability with anointing. I will meet your attention with divine instruction. But I need it now. Not after more signs. Not after more confirmations. Not after the fear fades. Now. This is the hour. And I'm still waiting for one word. Yes. You've walked in circles trying to discern what's right, what's real, what's from me and what's from your own heart, and in the process, your peace has grown thin, your confidence has cracked, and your ability to move forward has stalled under the pressure of uncertainty. But I did not create you to wander endlessly through indecision. I did not form your spirit to be tangled in webs of overthinking, hesitation, and self-doubt. That fog you've been trapped in was never your portion. I have watched you cry in secret, not from pain alone, but from the exhaustion of not knowing what to do next, from the anxiety of choosing wrong, from the fear that any move might pull you further away from my will. But I am not the author of confusion, I am the giver of wisdom, and I come now not to suggest but to intervene. I am severing the spiritual haze that has hovered over your path like a shadow, and I am piercing it with my truth like a sword through thick darkness. You will not stumble blindly any longer. I am establishing a straight path beneath your feet. I am removing voices that sound convincing but carry no authority. I am dismantling every illusion that masked itself as direction. I am silencing the noise that mimicked wisdom but produced anxiety. This is not the hour for scattered thinking or fragmented focus, this is the hour for holy instruction. And I am not speaking in riddles. I am speaking with precision. My clarity does not come to overwhelm you. It comes to release you. You don't need more time, you need alignment. You've waited long enough at the crossroads, debating with your own heart, battling between options, hoping for peace to magically appear, but peace is not a product of overanalyzing. Peace is the fruit of obedience. And I'm ready to show you where to step if you will stop trying to plan every outcome and simply follow me. I don't need you to calculate the entire route, I need you to move with me one word at a time, one yes at a time, one trust-fueled step at a time. My guidance does not come wrapped in formulas or bullet points, it comes as a presence that walks beside you, lighting each next moment with conviction and confirmation. And that is what I am pouring into your spirit right now. Feel it. The weight is shifting. The fog is lifting. That heaviness in your chest is breaking because my light is overtaking the confusion. I am restoring your ability to know again, to know what is of me and what is not, to know what to pursue and what to lay down, to know when to move and when to wait, to know without guessing. My child, you are not crazy for feeling torn. But you were never meant to stay divided. I am making your heart whole again so you can hear me without interference. You won't need to pull others to find confirmation, I will make my answer unmistakable. I will illuminate your choices not just with light, but with peace that doesn't shake. What once sounded like 100 voices will now fade until only mine remains. Let this moment be where your confusion meets my clarity, where your spiraling thoughts meet my steady voice, where your anxious wondering meets my commanding direction. I am not stepping in with soft suggestions, I am bringing divine clarity that will separate what's real from what was merely loud. And when it comes, don't hesitate. When it comes, respond. When it comes, move, because clarity is not just for comfort, it's for direction. And I give it not to overwhelm you, but to position you for what is next. My voice is not hiding anymore. The fog is parting. The sword is drawn. And I am cutting through every false direction that tried to capture your focus. You will walk in clarity, not confusion. You will move in purpose, not pressure. Because I have spoken, and when I speak, the fog cannot remain. You may not realize it, but everything that has been pulling at your attention, draining your energy, clouding your focus, none of it has been accidental. There hath been a strategy against your spirit, a subtle war aimed not at your body or your finances, but at your hope. Because the enemy knows he cannot take what I've destined for you, so his next tactic is to make you too distracted to walk into it. He's been whispering urgency into things that don't matter. He's been stirring chaos in areas you once felt secure, hoping to get you so busy managing the noise that you never hear my voice clearly. But I am breaking through all of it now. I am lifting the volume of my call until it becomes unmistakable, until it interrupts your thoughts, until it silences everything that came to blur your vision. You've been feeling scattered for a reason. You've been fighting to concentrate, feeling like something always pulls you in 100 directions right when you try to draw closer to me. That's not coincidence, it's coordinated opposition. But I am not standing still watching it happen. I am stepping into the middle of the mental storm with authority, and I'm saying, enough. No more chasing things that keep leaving you empty. No more pouring into situations that never bear fruit. No more giving your heart to things that drain you and call it love. You are not made for distraction, you are made for direction. You are not called to be exhausted by the world, you are chosen to be ignited by my fire. And this fire is rising now. You can feel it, can't you? That internal resistance when you try to go back to what used to satisfy you. That stirring inside when you try to settle for less than your calling. That isn't restlessness. That's my spirit, waking you up. I am not letting you sleep through this awakening. I'm not allowing you to be lulled into numbness while your destiny knocks at your door. I love you too much to let you be deceived by surface-level satisfaction. That's why I've allowed certain things to fall apart. That's why the distractions no longer give you peace. Because you were never meant to stay there. The enemy wants you buried in the busyness, constantly reacting but never truly living. But I have come to pull you out. I've come to recenter you, to reclaim your focus, to draw your heart so deeply into mine that everything else grows silent in comparison. This won't come through more effort, it will come through more surrender. The things that look urgent are often traps. The things that feel immediate are not always important. Listen to me. You are not behind. You are not too far gone. You are not too scattered to return. You're here now, and that is all I need. I don't need you to fix everything. I need you to listen. Because once you hear my voice again, not the noise of culture, not the echo of fear, not the hum of routine, but my actual voice, the clarity you've been begging for will rush in like a flood. And you'll wonder how you ever let anything else get that loud. This is your turning point. This is where the distractions lose their power. This is where your focus becomes unshakable, not because you try harder, but because you let me take over. I am speaking. I am calling. I am interrupting everything the enemy sent to deter you. And if you answer now, not only will hope be restored, it will begin to multiply. You will not just survive, you will lead others out of the fog you once wandered through. But first, come back to me. Shut the noise down. Return to where you last heard me clearly. Because I've never stopped calling you, and now I'm calling louder than ever. You've been longing for clarity, asking me to explain what's next, to reveal the deeper reasons behind everything you faced. And though I've whispered comfort through the storm, there is something I have kept reserved, something sacred, a mystery written into the fabric of your journey, but it could not be delivered in noise. It required a stillness you've only just begun to understand. I could have shouted it from the heavens, but it would have been lost in the whirlwind of your distractions. I could have sent it through others, but it would have blended into the countless voices you already entertain. This secret is not for the crowds. It is not for those who treat my voice as background sound. It is for you, the one who dared to keep showing up when no one noticed, the one who remained when everything in you screamed to run, the one whose heart kept reaching for me even when I felt silent. Now that the noise has quieted, now that you've come into a space where your soul is finally learning to listen instead of just hear, now I can entrust you with what I've hidden. I've waited for this moment to give you a glimpse of what others wouldn't value, to reveal a piece of my heart that only a yielded vessel could receive. You see, there are revelations that require depth, and you've been in the deep, deeper than you ever asked for, deeper than what looked necessary. But that depth prepared you for insight that can't be found in shallow waters. I am going to reveal to you the reason for your stillness, the purpose behind the slowness, the wisdom within what looked like delay. This secret isn't information, it's invitation. I'm inviting you to step into partnership with me on a level you've never known. You've asked for direction, But I'm giving you something greater: access to my thoughts. Not everything I share will make immediate sense, but trust that it is eternal in impact. I'm going to whisper things that shift how you see your present. I'll unfold blueprints that don't come from logic, but from intimacy. And you must not run from the silence anymore. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it feels like you're doing nothing. But it is in this quiet that you'll finally receive what couldn't land while your spirit was restless. Don't confuse my stillness for absence. Don't mistake my silence for delay. This is holy ground, not because of what's happening around you, but because of what I'm planting within you. I've set aside this space, and it will not be replicated later. If you push past it too quickly, you'll miss what I carved into the quiet for your eyes alone. Be still, not just with your schedule, but with your soul. Let the internal spinning slow down. Let the questions rest. Let the need to understand everything pause. Because my secrets don't compete with chaos, they are entrusted to the surrendered. And you are finally quiet enough to carry it. What I reveal now won't just give you answers, it will unlock you. It will unravel lies you didn't even know you believed. It will awaken strength you forgot you had. It will clarify your identity in ways you've only prayed for. But you must stay long enough to listen, not just once but daily, until this quiet becomes your sanctuary. I'm not hiding from you. I'm hiding for you, so that when you discover what I've kept reserved for this moment, you will treasure it. And that secret, once revealed, will not just change your path, it will anchor your soul in such a way that storms will no longer shake what I have built within you. You've looked for external signs in every direction, hoping a door would open in just the right way, that someone would say the exact phrase you've been holding in your heart, that the timing would align so perfectly it would remove all doubt. But, child, I need you to understand something sacred now. You don't need another sign when I've already spoken. My presence is not an echo of a miracle, it is the miracle. My voice doesn't point to clarity, it is clarity. The very reason your heart continues to ask for confirmation is because you've been waiting for a feeling to match what I've already revealed in faith. But faith won't always feel easy. Obedience won't always feel natural. Sometimes my confirmation comes wrapped in the discomfort of trust, not the comfort of evidence. You keep hoping I'll send another message, another push, another obvious signal, but I already did. The fact that you can feel this tug in your spirit, that my words have interrupted your thoughts again and again, is proof that you've already been marked by my call. I didn't draw you close to confuse you, I drew you close because it's time to move. You keep second-guessing what you know deep down because fear has disguised itself as wisdom. But the longer you wait for every detail to make perfect sense, the more you risk missing what was only meant to be understood after you obey. I don't need to repeat myself, I need you to believe me. There are moments in your life that require you to step, not because it all adds up in your mind, but because my peace is louder than your logic. The more you try to reason your way to certainty, the further you drift from the simplicity of my instruction. I didn't call you to figure it all out, I called you to trust what I already spoke. And I have been speaking. Through stillness, through conviction, through that holy unrest that keeps showing up at inconvenient times. That uneasiness you feel when you try to settle in the wrong direction, that's me. That nudge that keeps showing up in the middle of your distraction, that's me. That whisper that won't leave, even when you try to drown it out with busyness, that is me. I am the confirmation you've been asking for. I am the sign. You won't find peace by stalling. You'll find it when you surrender. The longer you delay, the more anxious you become, not because I'm distant, but because your soul wasn't made to sit in the tension of disobedience. This isn't about rushing, this is about aligning. I'm not pushing you into chaos, I'm pulling you into purpose. And my voice has never been more clear than it is right now. I know the risk seems high. I know the unknown feels overwhelming. But do you know what's more dangerous than stepping out on a whisper? Staying stuck in a season I've already called you out of. Every time you ask me to confirm what I've already confirmed, it shows me how much fear still has a foothold. But that ends now. You don't need another sign when I've given you access to me. You don't need to wait for a dramatic intervention when my spirit is already stirring your next step. Stop asking for permission to obey what I've already blessed. Don't let hesitation rob you of momentum. Don't let comparison mute your movement. Don't let delay feel like discernment. I'm not silent, I'm steady. And my steadiness is your signal. Lean into it. Don't look to the left or right for validation. Look at me. My presence is your proof. My whisper is your witness. My nearness is all the clarity you need. And if you step now, without another explanation, you will walk into a realm where obedience unlocks what confirmation never could. You've looked at your journey and seen only missteps, shortcomings, moments you wish you could erase or rewrite. You've replayed scenes in your mind that fill you with regret, thinking surely I've grown disappointed with you, that perhaps your inconsistency disqualified you from my favor. But here's the truth you need to absorb deep into your spirit. I have never measured you by your perfection, I have always seen your persistence. I have counted the moments you showed up even when you were barely holding on. I have witnessed your private battles, the ones no one applauded, the ones fought through tears, the ones waged inside your thoughts while you smiled on the outside. Those battles were not hidden from me. Each step you took when you wanted to quit was seen, cherished, and written in the archives of heaven. When others saw stillness, I saw endurance. When you thought you were stuck, I saw you stand. You never failed me by falling. You only would have failed by walking away, and you didn't. You may have stumbled, but every time you got back up, it shook the foundations of darkness. You don't realize the power of your resilience because you've been conditioned to believe that winning looks like never wavering. But I measure strength differently. I saw how you prayed even when your words were cracked and incomplete. I noticed how you stayed faithful to your assignment even when recognition never came. I watched how you refused to curse me even when you didn't understand what I was doing. That is not failure, child, that is faithfulness. And while others looked at your surface and questioned your stability, I looked at your heart and saw a warrior being forged in silence. Your tears did not signal weakness, they baptized the soil for the harvest I'm about to bring. I know how hard it's been. I know how the enemy has whispered that you missed it, that you fell too many times, that you've been overlooked. But none of those lies can cancel what I've written about you. You haven't been overlooked, you've been preserved. I have protected your purpose through seasons of isolation, not to punish you, but to prepare you. You thought no one saw you, but all of heaven stood at attention while you kept going, while you kept believing, while you kept saying yes even when everything in you wanted to say why. That is not the posture of failure. That is the posture of someone chosen, someone who is dangerous to the kingdom of darkness, someone who carries a story so redemptive that the enemy has done everything in his power to make you forget who you are. But I have not forgotten. I remember every moment you walked in obedience, when it would have been easier to disappear. I remember how you held on to my promises when they seemed like fading echoes. I remember how you guarded your integrity when compromise would have been convenient. I remember it all. And now, I am bringing you into a season of divine remembering, not so that you relive your pain, but so you finally recognize your value. You've been harder on yourself than I've ever been. You've called yourself broken when I've called you brave. You've labeled yourself unworthy when I've crowned you with purpose. Stop counting your scars and start seeing your survival. Stop rehearsing your doubts and start remembering your decisions to keep going. The throne of grace was never reserved for the flawless, it was built for those like you who kept returning, who kept seeking, who kept choosing me even when life gave them every reason not to. You haven't failed, child. You fought and I have watched every step. Now let me show you what I've built in the places where you thought you lost too much. Let me reward what no one else applauded. Let me speak over the moments you never thought I noticed. Because I did. I always have. And your next season won't be a punishment for what went wrong, it will be a reward for what went unseen. There are paths I've set before you that cannot be crowded, and though it may feel like abandonment, it is in truth a divine narrowing. I've watched you question why relationships faded, why conversations turned cold, why the familiar grew distant without warning. You've sat with the ache of silence, wondering if you did something wrong, if perhaps your love was too deep, your honesty too loud, or your spirit too much. But hear me clearly now, you are not too much, you are set apart. What feels like rejection is in fact refinement, and what appears to be a loss is actually a shield I've placed around your life. You keep trying to make sense of why some people stopped showing up, why doors you trusted closed, why support disappeared just when you needed it most. But child, I have been removing what cannot sustain where you are going. The weight of your calling is too sacred to be carried with the wrong company. I'm not isolating you to harm you, I'm preparing space for intimacy, for deeper encounters with me, for clarity that only solitude can birth. You've looked around and seen empty chairs where connection once lived, and it made your heart wonder if I, too, had stepped away. But I have drawn closer, not further. It's in this quiet season, where you feel invisible to the world, that you are most visible to me. I'm not building you for the approval of many, I'm forming you in the audience of one. I know you crave companionship. I know you miss the ease of being surrounded by those who understand without needing explanation. But if I allowed everyone to stay, their voices would eventually drown out mine. And I need you to hear me clearly. What I'm placing in your spirit requires undivided attention. I'm leading you into territories others aren't willing to go, not because you're better, but because you're available. You said yes when it cost you comfort. You've obeyed when it left you misunderstood. You've remained faithful even when faithfulness brought isolation. And now, in this holy place of being unseen by many, you are being watched by heaven. Don't despise the silence. It's not empty, it's full of purpose. I've been speaking more, not less. But I've been speaking in the language of stillness, in the dialect of detachment, in the volume that only the deeply surrendered can hear. Your loneliness is not void, it's an invitation. It's a beckoning into my chambers, where I reveal strategies, release blueprints, and refine identity. I'm peeling away every crutch so you'll learn to lean only on me, not on applause, not on companionship, not on the affirmation of others, but on the certainty of who I say you are. I know you didn't ask for this distance. I know your heart breaks at times under the weight of unanswered texts, unseen efforts, and the quiet absence of those you once called your anchors. But I am your true foundation. I am the one who never withdraws. And the season you're in is not a sentence, it's a setup. It's a sanctified wilderness, where lesser voices are silenced so destiny can be fully heard. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. And when the time is right, I will reintroduce you to the right relationships, the right partnerships, the right tribe that carries the capacity to support the magnitude of your mission. Until then, let the silence work. Let the separation sanctify. Let the egg drive you deeper into me. Because what's being formed here will not only restore you, it will define the next phase of your calling. You will no longer view this loneliness as a curse, but as the proving ground of the trusted. And when you emerge from this hidden place, you will carry a depth no crowd could give, a wisdom no gathering could teach, and a closeness with me that no platform could replace. What seemed slow to you was never slow to me, it was precise. Each day that felt like a pause, every door that didn't open on your timeline, each season you labeled as stuck, I was right there, shaping a pace that would protect you and propel you when the moment was ripe. You thought I was distant because everything you prayed for felt postponed. You assumed I was unmoved because your surroundings didn't change when you asked them to. But child, I was never withholding. I was strategically aligning. You were never forgotten in the waiting, you were found in it. You didn't realize that every unhurried moment was being used to build strength in areas you didn't know were weak. A delay didn't mean denial, it meant depth. It meant digging. It meant that while you were staring at the clock, I was anchoring your character, carving out capacity, making room within you to carry what's bigger than anything you've held before. There are things I've promised you that couldn't arrive in a rush, because if they did, they would have overwhelmed you rather than blessed you. My acceleration doesn't begin when circumstances speed up, it begins when your trust deepens. And that's what I've been doing. Deepening your ability to walk with me even when everything around you seems motionless. Because when you can move with faith and stillness, You are ready to move with purpose and momentum. You've been focused on what hasn't happened, but I've been preparing what's about to overtake you. I've been choreographing a sequence of breakthroughs that aren't delayed, they're being delivered all at once. I don't move slowly, I move suddenly. And when I do, things shift in moments that seemed immovable for years. But I will only release what your spirit is ready to receive, not what your emotions demand in haste. That's why I've let some things remain dormant, not to discourage you, but to ensure that when they do arrive, you won't misinterpret them as coincidence. You'll know they were born out of divine timing. Your preparation has been painful at times, and you've questioned if you were doing something wrong. But you've been doing exactly what I needed remaining. You stayed when you had every reason to walk away. You waited even when it bruised your hope. You kept praying when it felt pointless. And now, I am about to honor what no one else saw you endure. What's coming will look like a flood after a drought. It will come with such clarity and speed that you'll feel as if time is catching up to what your heart always believed. But know this, it wasn't time catching up, it was me, waiting until everything I had spoken could be fulfilled without hindrance. And now, the hindrances are lifting. The invisible barriers are breaking. The things that resisted are bending under the weight of my will. I've heard every cry that asks, how much longer? And now I respond, it's nearer than you think. I never wanted to frustrate you. I wanted to fortify you. I wasn't holding back miracles, I was crafting you into someone who could sustain them. I didn't slow the outcome, I enriched the process. Because the next season isn't just about receiving, it's about carrying, multiplying, influencing, releasing. And you are no longer who you were when you first began asking. You're stronger now, wiser, rooted, ready. So don't despise the steps that brought you here. Don't curse the quiet days or the long nights. They all played a part. They were all necessary. They were all preparation. And now, child, the pace is about to change. You're going to look back on what once felt like delay and see the fingerprints of divine precision. I'm not just moving, you're about to move with me. And this time, it won't be one small answer, it will be a wave of my promises rushing in, because you stayed long enough to grow into the one who can finally carry it. There is a divine appointment hidden in the stillness of this night, a moment I've set apart where the veil thins and what's been held back is ready to come forward. You might sense the unfamiliar tension around you, a quiet stirring that interrupts your routine thoughts, a pressure that doesn't feel heavy, but urgent. That's not anxiety, that's a spiritual alert. Something is being released in the realm you can't yet see, but it's not meant to bypass you, it's meant to locate you. Yet for it to reach you, your spirit must be positioned in surrender, not resistance. I do not release revelation into hearts that are closed by fear or cluttered by assumptions. I pour out what's holy into those who have made space, who are watching even when nothing seems to move. Tonight is not like other nights. The conversations happening in heaven regarding your life have moved into activation. I am assigning clarity, restoring direction, unveiling answers to questions that once haunted you. But if your heart is tangled in bitterness, distraction, or doubt, you will misinterpret the breakthrough as coincidence or worse, ignore it entirely. I need you to come before me with childlike expectation, not calculated skepticism. Don't come demanding evidence, come willing to perceive what is being made available. I have chosen this time because I know what tomorrow holds. I know the decisions you will face, the offers that will rise, the opportunities that will look appealing but carry hidden compromise. And so I speak now, not to oppress you but to prepare you. The shift is not merely circumstantial, it is instructional. What I give you tonight may not look like a dramatic event, but rather a subtle nudge, a divine idea, a conversation that unlocks strategy, or a prompting that changes your course. The key is not in the magnitude of the moment, it's in your awareness. If you're waiting for something loud, you might miss the whisper that holds the direction you've begged for. Don't let your heart be asleep in this hour. Check off the weariness. Push back the mental fog. Choose stillness over entertainment. Choose quiet over commentary. Because when you silence every other voice, You will recognize mine not in chaos, but in clarity. I've waited for this night to tell you things you couldn't have handled before. You've grown through recent storms. You've been softened by pain, matured by persistence, and humbled by my process. Now your soil is finally fertile enough to receive what I've held in reserve. There are plans I've designed specifically for your next chapter, but they require partnership. I will not force my instruction upon you. I invite you to embrace it. If you harden your heart, if you resist out of fear of cost, you may delay what was meant to be immediate. But if you lean in, if you say, "Speak, Lord, I'm listening," then the shift will meet you with power. A revelation will not only come, it will land. And when it does, it will begin to reorder everything around you. Ideas that once felt far off will gain traction. Confusion will unravel with a single sentence. Burdens you didn't know how to release will break under the weight of my clarity. And you'll look back on this night as the turning point, not because everything changed outwardly, but because something changed inwardly. I'm not just shifting things around you, I'm awakening something within you. So do not let this pass like any ordinary evening. Don't scroll through the sacred. Don't sleep through the strategy. I've carved out this time not as a detour, but as a divine intersection. If you meet me here, if you open your heart without pretense, you will walk away with more than words. You will walk away with marching orders. And when you obey them, the doors you once knocked on will begin to swing open without force. The alignment begins now. The momentum begins now. But your heart must say yes, not just in emotion, but in posture. Are you listening? Then get ready. I'm about to speak something that will shift everything. You've carried so much for so long that even rest feels like a risk. You've clenched your fists around responsibilities, fears, unanswered questions, and broken expectations, believing that if you let go even for a moment, everything might fall apart. I see the strength behind your strength. I see how tightly you've been gripping hope, not because it's easy to hold, but because it's all you had left. You've told yourself you need to stay strong for others, to keep it together when no one else does. But what you've not realized is that your grip is no longer sustaining you, it's exhausting you. And that's where I come in, not to demand more from you, but to relieve what's already worn you down. This is not an invitation to collapse, it's an invitation to release. You weren't created to be your own anchor. You weren't designed to bear the pressure of outcomes you were never meant to control. You think you have to keep everything functioning, but I'm reminding you that I am the one who holds all things together, not you. What feels like failure to you is simply fatigue. It's not a lack of faith, it's the result of carrying burdens in your own strength for too long. And today, I reach out with tenderness and authority and say, let me carry it now. Not just the obvious pain, not just the heartbreak you've told others about, but the silent pressure that's been crushing you beneath its invisible weight. Give me the fear that wakes you before dawn. Give me the disappointment you've buried under busyness. Give me the thoughts that spiral late into the night when no one sees you unraveling. You don't have to be composed in my presence. You just have to be honest. I'm not moved by your performance, I'm moved by your permission. Will you allow me to take over what's been draining you? Will you trust me enough to set down what's been grinding your soul into the ground? I didn't design the season to break you, I allowed it to show you what you can't keep holding. You've done your best. You've shown up. You've prayed. You fought to stay upright. But this moment is different. This moment is where you shift the weight, where your hands stop grasping for control and instead open for comfort. You keep waiting for the circumstance to change before you exhale. But I say to you, exhale now. Not because it's fixed, but because I'm here. I will hold what you release. I will carry what you surrender. I will strengthen what you entrust to me. This is the holy exchange that alters everything, not because the pressure instantly vanishes, but because you're no longer the one carrying it alone. You were never meant to drag your destiny through burnout. You were never meant to chase peace like a reward. Peace is not a prize, it's a person, and I am with you. I'm not just beside you. I'm replacing what's too heavy with what's holy. My hand is not demanding, it's gentle. I touch does not add weight, it removes it. I'm not telling you to keep going without rest. I'm becoming your rest. I'm becoming your breath, your rhythm, your calm in the chaos. And if you let me take the weight from your grip, you'll feel again. You'll breathe again. You'll become again. Because the version of you I created is not burned out, worn down, or barely surviving. The version I see is light with grace, filled with strength, walking in power not because of personal effort, but because of divine exchange. So open your hands, child. Stop carrying what I died to relieve. Let me take it, all of it. And when I do, you will not collapse. You will rise. There were times when it felt like you were invisible, as though the world passed by your potential without even a second glance. You questioned why others were elevated while you remained in the background. You wondered if I had overlooked your prayers, your faithfulness, your tears. But I was never absent. I was shielding you. I was concealing you beneath my wings, not because you lacked value, but because what I placed inside you required a level of safeguarding that not everyone would understand. There are things I deposited in you: anointing, insight, endurance that needed time to mature in a place of stillness. And while others ran forward into visible positions, I took you deeper, not to delay your destiny, but to fortify it. You weren't being ignored. You were being insulated. Because what I'm about to do through you requires a foundation that doesn't crumble under applause, a character that doesn't chase recognition, and a spirit that stays rooted when influence comes. I allowed you to be unseen for a season so that when the time came for your unveiling, you wouldn't depend on validation to move. You've been prepared in secret so that you can stand in public without losing the essence of who you are. You were not buried, you were planted. And now, the soil has broken, the season has shifted, and I'm calling you forth not as someone desperate to be seen, but as someone anchored enough to carry the weight of being known. This is not the unveiling of your popularity, it's the unveiling of your purpose. What you carry cannot be released while you remain hidden. But had I revealed you too early, it would have drawn the wrong eyes for the wrong reasons. I had to make sure your heart would not bend to every opinion. I had to ensure your discernment was sharp enough to filter flattery from truth. You may have felt forgotten, but you were being preserved. The quiet spaces where no one clapped were actually the safest places where I did my deepest work. And now, I am removing the veil not to elevate your name, but to announce my glory through you. What comes next will look like sudden exposure, but you'll know it's not random. It's the result of everything we've built in the dark. Others will see the fruit, but only you will know the weight of the roots. I'm opening doors that don't require you to strive, because they've been pre-ordained for your obedience. I'm creating space in places where your name was never mentioned before. I'm stirring hearts to recognize what I've been growing inside of you all along. But remember this: you are not stepping out to prove yourself, you are stepping out to release what I placed inside of you. You don't need to perform. You don't need to explain. You don't need to manipulate moments. Just walk with me, and I will lead you to rooms where the atmosphere has already been softened for your arrival. I will speak for you in places your voice hasn't reached. I will confirm your calling in ways that cannot be denied. And when people ask, "Where did you come from?" your only answer will be, "From the secret place." You've grown in the silence, learned in the shadows, healed in the hidden places. And now, you emerge not in complete, but commission. I'm not just revealing you, I'm releasing you. To carry light into dark places. To speak truth where silence rule. To walk boldly without needing applause. This is not about being seen for your sake, it's about being sent for mine. So step forward, not with pride, but with peace. Not with fear, but with focus. The world is about to see what I've seen all along. Not because you pushed your way in, but because I'm the one who called you out. There is something sacred about full circles, about moments that return not to repeat pain, but to redeem it. You thought that chapter had ended, sealed shut with disappointment, sealed by rejection, sealed by mistiming or misunderstood silence. You grieved that space, mourned its loss, buried it beneath layers of acceptance just to survive what felt like the end. But I never wrote it off. I wrote it into your story in a way you couldn't comprehend at the time. You saw finality. I saw pause. You saw the collapse. I saw the reconstruction. The door, the one you walked away from with tears in your eyes and heaviness in your chest, is not where your story concluded. It's where I began rebuilding you in secret. And now, that very threshold is unlocking again. But not for you to enter as the same person who left. This time, you won't be timid, fragile, unsure, or questioning your place. This time, you'll walk in clothed with the wisdom the wilderness taught you. The version of you I'm bringing back to that opportunity has been through fire and come out refined. The doubts you once had are gone. The dependency on others' approval hath been dismantled. And most of all, the belief that you were alone in it, that lie has been shattered. Because this time, I am not only bringing you back, I am walking with you into it. You won't have to force your way in. You won't have to rehearse the right words. You won't have to diminish who you are to be accepted. The room you are about to re-enter has been reset for you. I've been ahead of you. I've softened hearts that were once hard. I've aligned circumstances that once resisted. I've silenced opposition you never knew existed. What was too much before is just right now. And this is not a recycled opportunity, it's a redeemed one. I am not taking you back to repeat old patterns. I am leading you forward into a familiar place with new authority. Where you once questioned if you belong, now you will lead. Where you once whispered, now you will speak with clarity. Where you once shrank, now you will expand. I've restructured the atmosphere to match your new maturity. You'll notice that what used to intimidate you now confirms your growth. The conversations that used to unsettle you now reveal your strength. The things you thought you lost for good were never stolen, they were reserved. There are doors that look the same but lead to completely new outcomes. You're not returning to a former season, you're being reintroduced to a place with resurrected purpose. And I'm not just unlocking the door, I'm entering it with you. I will be your voice when yours trembles. I will be your strength when nerves arise. I will be your peace when memories try to resurface. I will stand beside you so tangibly that you will know you've never been forsaken. And this isn't just about your restoration. This is about others, too. There are people on the other side of that doorway waiting for what I've cultivated in you during your time away. Your return isn't only for your fulfillment, it's for their breakthrough. They won't recognize you at first, because they remember who you were. But don't shrink to match their memories. Stand in who you've become. Let me show them what transformation looks like. And when they ask what changed, you will simply say, "Grace met me, and I followed it here." So prepare. Not with stress, but with expectation. Yours not feared, but faith. You're not circling back in weakness, you're stepping forward in destiny. And the same door that once echoed with goodbye now stands open with a divine welcome. Walk through it not because you must, but because you're meant to. And this time, with me beside you, no force will be able to shut what I've now reopened. There is more to your restoration than relief. There is purpose in the pain I pulled you through, not only to mend what was broken in you, but to release a sound that others will recognize as their rescue. You didn't walk through the valley just to escape it, you walked through so you could return with light. I'm not only binding your wounds, I'm branding your life with evidence of my compassion. Your scars will not be your shame, they will be your story. I allowed the breaking not to destroy your voice, but to deepen it. Because now, when you speak, you'll carry weight. Now, when you touch the hurting, your hands will tremble with understanding. No longer will you speak theory, you'll speak testimony. You'll speak from the place of knowing. What once felt like agony that isolated you will become the very thing that connects you to others in chains. You will see the hidden tears in their eyes because you remember what it was like to cry behind smiles. You will discern the fatigue in their laugh because you once laughed like that, empty and exhausted. I've entrusted you with empathy the world can't counterfeit. You carry a depth now, not because you memorized the right words, but because you survived what nearly consumed you. And now I am placing you on holy assignment not to relive the pain, but to redeem it in others. This is not about a stage. This is not about a spotlight. This is about walking into rooms where no one knows what you've carried and letting my presence in you do what no performance ever could. Your healing wasn't just about you standing again. It was about raising others from their low places. You thought your story was too messy to matter, too complicated to carry any meaning, but child, the very thing you tried to hide is what I'm about to highlight. I don't need perfection to touch others, I need authenticity. And your story, just as it is, will break chains when shared under my leading. I didn't deliver you for silence. I didn't rescue you for secrecy. I rescued you so that others would see that deliverance is still real. That the God who heals isn't trapped in ancient scrolls or distant memories, He's alive, moving, restoring, and you're the proof. There are people waiting to believe again, but they won't respond to noise, they'll respond to resonance. And when you open your mouth, they'll hear freedom because they'll recognize the echo of survival. I'm going to take what you thought disqualified you and use it as the very reason doors open. Not because you sought them out, but because your healing will carry my fragrance wherever you go. You won't have to announce yourself, my power in you will draw the broken near. You are not just a healed one, you are a carrier of healing. Not by your own might, but by my spirit that now flows through the cracks once left by your pain. You thought you were being torn apart, but you were actually being prepared to become a vessel. And vessels that have been through fire carry oil that costs something. What you carry isn't cheap. It was pressed from moments others didn't see, from prayers whispered between sobs, from trust forged in darkness. And I say to you, now is the time. To speak not from perfection, but from redemption. Love not from comfort, but from compassion. Walk not with pride, but with holy awareness that every step you take forward is a testimony that death didn't win. Let me use your voice. Let me use your journey. Let me turn every silent scream you once held into declarations of freedom for those still afraid to speak. Because I'm not done. I'm just beginning to show what I can do through someone who's willing to be seen, not as flawless but as faithful to healing. And through your restoration, I will restore many. You've questioned why it hasn't happened yet, why the promise still lingers just out of reach, why every step forward seems followed by resistance, why the timing feels cruel instead of comforting. You've watched others receive their answer, their release, their opportunity, and though you've celebrated them outwardly, your heart has whispered, when will it be my turn? But hear me, beloved. What I have spoken over your life is not forgotten. The delay was never a dismissal. It was never punishment. It was preparation. What I'm doing in your story is not a rushed construction, it's a carefully timed unveiling. I've been aligning layers you didn't even know existed, weaving elements that stretch beyond your understanding, and orchestrating details that would have overwhelmed you had they arrived too soon. What looks slow in the natural has been progressing rapidly in the spirit. While you were pacing with frustration, I was positioning with precision. I'm not bound by earthly clocks, I operate in fulfillment. And now, the moment I've been preparing is approaching. The release isn't just about giving you what you asked for, it's about giving it in such a way that you'll sustain it. I don't do temporary blessings. I do lasting fruit. I didn't let the promise arrive when your roots were shallow, because the weight of the answer would have crushed you. But now you've grown deep. You've learned to cling to me, not outcomes. You've discovered how to worship without evidence, to walk in trust when your eyes saw nothing, to remain faithful when everything else shook. That kind of growth isn't loud, but it's dangerous to the enemy. And now you're standing in the kind of maturity that can carry the weight of the next thing. What's coming isn't a replacement for what was lost, it's the reward for what you endured. I've seen the nights where you didn't just cry, you poured out. I've watched the days where you didn't just pray, you contended. I've marked every time you chose integrity over comfort, obedience over applause, surrender over control. Those weren't unnoticed sacrifices, they were the bricks that paved the way to this appointed moment. And now, I'm not just answering, you're stepping into a culmination. This is not random. This is not coincidence. This is fulfillment. I've held back certain things not because you weren't good enough, but because what I'm about to release needed a specific spiritual climate to flourish. You are not late. You are right on schedule for what I've appointed you to carry. The relationships I didn't allow to last, the paths I redirected, the seasons that didn't make sense, now you'll see why. Because what's about to unfold required room, and if I had given it earlier, it would have been suffocated under misplaced loyalties and premature expectations. You thought I was being silent when I was actually being strategic. And now, the timing I waited for has arrived. But don't rush to respond in flesh, listen closely to my spirit. The instruction that follows the breakthrough is just as important as the breakthrough itself. Many receive the blessing but mishandle the responsibility. I've trained you differently. I've taught you not just to receive but to steward. And that's why you will see what others missed. That's why you'll walk through doors that don't open for everyone. Not because you're better, but because you waited well. And for those who wait well, the reward isn't just what they prayed for, it's more. I always give more than you expect. I always add overflow to obedience. And what I'm giving you now will not only satisfy your longing, it will set others free. The breakthrough that felt delayed is arriving on the wind of divine timing, and when it comes, it will not trickle, it will flood. So make space in your heart. Clear out the last of the doubt. Shake off the residue of despair. Lift your head again. Because what I promised is not coming, it's here. And this time, nothing will stand in the way. You've grieved the absence of those you thought would be beside you forever. You've questioned why the connections you cherished unraveled without explanation, why the voices that once encouraged you fell silent, why the closeness you nurtured dissolved into distance. At times, you internalized their departure as a reflection of your worth, as if something in you pushed them away. But child, what you saw as rejection was my redirection. I never remove people out of cruelty, I shift relationships when protection requires it. You were not being abandoned, you were being preserved. There are certain assignments in your life so sacred, so weighty, that not every hand can help carry them. Some people may have had good intentions but poor alignment. Some had loyalty on their lips but not in their spirit. Others could not walk with you into this next chapter because their presence would have diluted your discernment, distracted your focus, or delayed your obedience. I saw what you could not. I heard conversations you never did. I discerned the hidden motives that your love tried to overlook. And I chose to step in. I dismantled connections not because you were unworthy of companionship, but because your purpose could not afford contamination. I didn't let them walk away, I guided them out. And yes, I know it hurt. I know it felt like betrayal. I know it stung to be left in moments when your heart needed understanding. But if you only knew what I was shielding you from, you'd lift your hands in gratitude for the doors I didn't let stay open. You see through the lens of comfort, I see through the lens of calling. You were never meant to drag relationships into places they weren't equipped to go. And the miracle I'm releasing over your life now is too sensitive to be surrounded by divided hearts. What I'm about to do in and through you demands purity around you. There is power being unlocked, and the environment must be refined to hold it. Had I allowed certain people to stay, they would have either tried to take credit for what only I could do, or they would have interfered with your trust in me during the process. This moment is holy, and just as I removed spectators from the room before raising the dead, I've cleared the space around you not to isolate you, but to consecrate you. The miracle belongs to you, but it must be stewarded with reverence. I'm surrounding you now with what you need, not what you're comfortable with. The ones who are meant to walk with you from this point forward won't compete with your calling, they'll complement it. They won't drain your peace, they'll protect it. They won't distract your vision, they'll sharpen it. These new alignments won't arrive through force or manipulation, but through divine timing. You won't have to beg for loyalty. You won't need to explain your heart over and over. They will see you through spiritual eyes. They will recognize the cost behind your mantle. But until they arrive, don't rush to fill the silence. Don't reach back out of loneliness to what I've already removed. When I close a door, it's not to punish, it's to prepare. The void you feel is actually room I've cleared for something greater. Let me fill it with my presence first. Let me establish you so deeply in my companionship that when others come, they're additions, not foundations. Because what I'm building in you cannot rest on fragile alliances. It must rest on me. And when the miracle comes, and it will, you will not wonder who belongs at your table. You will not question the loyalty of those who surround you. Because I will have brought them, not your fear. I will have chosen them, not your insecurity. I will have sent them, not your desperation. Until then, stay close to me. Let my voice be the loudest. Let my friendship be your anchor. I haven't removed people to leave you empty, I've done it to make you ready. There's been a longing in you that words could never fully capture, a groaning for something to be made whole again, for what was lost to somehow return, for what was broken to be restored in a way that doesn't just resemble what once was, but surpasses it in beauty and strength. You've wept over what slipped through your hands, over what time seemed to erode, over relationships, dreams, and seasons that left you feeling fractured and incomplete. And yet, even as the pain settled into the quiet corners of your heart, you kept carrying this one fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, I could do something with what remained. Hear me now, child. I can. And I will. But not through the lens of your past disappointments. Not through the filter of fear or memory. It begins with your belief. Not the kind of belief that merely nods and keeps walking, but the kind that leans in, that opens wide the gates of the soul and dares to expect again. Restoration is not something I casually offer. It is embedded in my very nature. I don't just repair, I recreate. I don't give back exactly what you lost. I give it back better, pressed down, shaken together, and running over in ways that carry divine fingerprints. But the door to that restoration is unlocked with faith, not flawless faith, but honest faith. The kind that says, God, I don't understand, but I'm willing. The kind that whispers, even after all I've been through, I still choose to trust. You've spent so much time looking at the ashes, analyzing the ruins, mourning the empty spaces. But I'm shifting your focus now. Look at me. I'm the restorer of timelines. I'm the repairer of breaches. I'm the lifter of your head and the rebuilder of what you thought was too far gone. You've been trying to make sense of it, but restoration doesn't begin with understanding. It begins with surrender. I know what's been broken. I know what's been taken. I know the years that feel wasted, the moments you wish you could relive. And I'm not just aware, I'm active. I've been working even in the background. While you wept, I was weaving. While you questioned, I was positioning. While you doubted, I was anchoring every detail into alignment. Nothing is too shattered for me. Nothing is too far gone. And no, the restoration won't always look like a carbon copy of what once was. Sometimes I bring it back in a form so transformed, you barely recognize it, but your spirit knows it's better. Relationships may not return in their former state, but I can breathe new life into the spaces they left behind. Opportunities may not reopen as they were, but I can unlock doors that hold even greater purpose. The voice you thought you lost, the strength you thought you surrendered, the purpose you thought you missed, it's not lost. It's waiting. And it's waiting on one thing, your belief. Will you believe that I'm still who I said I am? Will you believe that I can redeem not just your time, but your trust? Will you believe that nothing the enemy stole has the final word over your life? Because the moment you believe again, truly believe, is the moment the winds shift. That's when momentum builds. That's when resurrection begins to stir beneath the surface. That's when what's been dormant starts to live again. I never stopped being the God who restores. I never changed my mind about what I promised. But I've been waiting for your yes, your real yes. The one that dares to expect beauty again. The one that risks disappointment just to stay open. The one that chooses hope even after heartbreak. I see that yes rising now. I see that flicker becoming flame. And I say to you, restoration begins now. Not when you feel ready. Not when everything looks fixed. But now, when your belief touches my heart again. This is the turning point. Welcome it. Watch what I will do. Every time you were at your lowest, when the ache in your chest screamed louder than your faith, when silence seemed to swallow every prayer you could barely whisper, the enemy leaned in with his most dangerous lie. This is the end. He watched your exhaustion and called it defeat. He saw your tears and labeled them weakness. He pointed to your setbacks and declared them final. But what he underestimated was that I was present in every moment he tried to exploit. He assumed your pain had pushed me away, but it was in that very pain that I drew closest. He counted your questions as the death of your faith, but I saw them as an invitation into deeper intimacy. While he worked to convince you that the story was over, I was turning the page to the chapter I've been writing in fire and water, a chapter so soaked in my glory that the enemy has no vocabulary for it. You've been walking through a battlefield that most never saw. You've been enduring silent wars, internal storms, and unseen pressures that nearly crushed your breath. And yet, here you are still standing. That alone is the miracle. You didn't quit when it would have been easier to walk away. You didn't silence your hope even when despair raised its voice. You didn't fold under the weight of betrayal, confusion, or disappointment. The very fact that you're still here is proof that my hand has never left you. You may feel bruised, but you are not broken. You may feel weary, but you are not defeated. The enemy thought the delay meant I had changed my mind about you. But what he didn't understand is that my process is never rushed. I don't build anything quickly that I intend to last eternally. So hear me now. I'm just getting started. The ground you thought had turned cold is about to bloom again. The dreams you assumed had expired are about to be revived with divine breath. The areas of your life that felt barren are being prepared for a harvest too large for you to contain. I don't speak resurrection over things that are finished. I speak resurrection over what I've decided must rise again. You've cried over the delay, but the delay was the shield. You've mourned what didn't come, but what's coming won't resemble anything you've imagined. I allowed the tension, not to torment you, but to train you, to strengthen your discernment, to sharpen your hearing, to deepen your roots so that when I launch you, nothing, not even success, can uproot you. The enemy's lie has always been the same, that your value is conditional, your purpose is fragile, and your destiny is disposable. But I didn't form you from dust to let you dissolve under pressure. I formed you with intention. I breathed identity into your lungs before anyone could label you. I sealed you with my spirit before circumstances ever tried to shape your worth. And now I am moving with urgency to dismantle every lie that tried to plant itself in your spirit. You will no longer echo the enemy's words over your life. You will speak mine. You will say, I am chosen. You will declare, I am rising. You will know my God is not finished. Don't measure what I'm about to do by what you've already seen. I'm not restoring you back to how things were. I'm building something new entirely. This next chapter won't be a continuation of old disappointments. It will be a launching point for new authority. You've been tested in ways others couldn't see so that you could carry what others wouldn't understand. This is a commissioning, ascending, a rising. The world may not be ready for what I've placed inside of you, but you are. And that's what I've been waiting for. You thought the finish line was near, but it was only the end of the preparation. Now begins the movement. Now begins the unfolding. Now begins the manifestation of promises I whispered long ago. The enemy said it was over. But I, the Lord your God, declare, I have only just begun. There's been a constant tug on your attention, a storm of opinions, expectations, fears, and assumptions that cloud the sanctuary of your mind. You've tried to find clarity through the noise, but it keeps multiplying. Every voice around you offers a different direction. Some speak from love, a Latvian. Others speak from wounds that echo into your ears like warnings. And then, there's your own voice, full of memories, disappointments, and protective logic, whispering what's safest, not what's sacred. But in this hour, I need you to turn it all off. Not because those voices have no value, but because they cannot lead you where I'm taking you. Even your inner dialogue, shaped by years of struggle and survival, cannot perceive the fullness of what I'm about to do. If you keep listening to every sound, you will drown out the only voice that creates worlds with a whisper, mine. I'm not calling you to ignore the world. I'm calling you to elevate your hearing, to recognize that in order to receive divine instruction, your ears must be tuned to something higher than opinion or emotion. You've come to a point in your journey that requires clarity beyond intellect. It requires revelation. And revelation doesn't shout over chaos. It flows in stillness. That's why I'm asking you to come away, just for a moment, into a place where my voice becomes unmistakable again. You've known it before. The way it cuts through confusion, calms your soul, and awakens something deep inside that no sermon or podcast ever could. I haven't stopped speaking, but I will not compete with the crowd in your head. You've been listening for answers through the lens of what feels familiar. But I'm not speaking to what's familiar. I'm speaking to what's next. That means my voice may not match what you've heard before. It may sound unfamiliar because it's leading you into territory you've never walked. I'm not repeating old patterns. I'm releasing new direction. A new direction requires new attention. Right now, every distraction isn't just a nuisance. It's a threat to your alignment. Because what I'm about to release isn't casual. It's pivotal. It will shift not just your next step, but the entire trajectory of your calling. That's why I need your focus. Not perfection. Not performance. Just focus. Don't fear silence. Embrace it. Don't avoid solitude. Enter it. In that quiet, I will reveal what you've been begging me to explain. I'll uncover the reason the last door closed. I'll illuminate the next door that's about to open. I'll expose the deception that tried to twist your perception. I'll confirm what your spirit sensed all along but your mind was too afraid to believe. But first, silence the other voices. Even the well-meaning ones. Especially the fearful ones. Give me room to speak louder than your logic. Give me space to reintroduce myself in ways you haven't known me before. You keep asking what if I choose wrong? But I'm not trying to make this hard. I've never played games with your future. The moment your attention aligns with my voice, peace will return. Not because everything around you changes, but because you finally hear me again. My words will clear the fog. They will confirm your steps. They will bring such confidence that hesitation will break its grip, and your feet will finally move with resolve. The voices of confusion will no longer rule the atmosphere of your soul. My whisper will become your compass. But I need your surrender. I need your attention. I need your agreement that nothing else will speak louder than I do. Not fear, not logic, not guilt, not even your own voice replaying what others said about you. This is your holy moment to choose stillness, to pause the scroll, to turn down the volume, to step into that sacred space where my voice becomes the loudest sound in your life. And once you hear it, truly hear it, everything will change. I know what you tried to forget, the place where things broke down, the moment your strength collapsed, the decision you wish you could undo. You've carried that memory like a hidden bruise, tender to the touch, reluctant to speak of it even in prayer. You tiptoed around it, hoping it would lose its grip over time. But here is what I want you to understand. Beloved, I do not waste what wounded you. That moment you've labeled as failure, that chapter you've tried to erase, that season that made you feel like you were disqualified, I am redeeming it now. Not to expose your pain, but to showcase my power. Not to shame you, but to prove that my grace outruns guilt every single time. You thought that place marked the end of something valuable, but I say it's the beginning of something eternal. What looked like collapse was actually the cracking open of what needed light. I allowed it, not to punish you, but to purge what couldn't go with you into the next assignment. I saw your sorrow, I felt your agony when you sat in the ruins of regret, convinced that surely I must have walked away. But I didn't leave, I leaned in. I sat with you in the silence. I covered you in the aftermath. I whispered truth over the noise of accusation, even when you struggled to hear it. And now, I am turning that very location of despair into an altar of glory. I am writing resurrection into the very area you thought was lost forever. You see, I'm not intimidated by brokenness. I specialize in transformation. I don't avoid the mess, I enter it and make it meaningful. Where shame once reigned, I will raise your voice. Where you once wept, you will declare victory. What you once avoided discussing will become the very thing I use to draw others into healing. Because the power of your story is not found in pretending it never happened, it's found in how I carried you through it. That's what the enemy fears, not that you failed, but that you would one day rise and speak from it. He hoped that moment would silence you. He hoped the weight of it would keep you disqualified, disoriented, and distant from purpose. But instead, I've been turning the soil. I've been working underground, reshaping what grew from that experience. And now it will produce fruit that nourishes not only your life, but the lives of many. That place will no longer trigger shame, it will become a testimony. Not a whisper, but a shout of triumph. You will look at what once made you bow your head, and you will lift it with confidence, saying, "This is where the Lord met me." Others will ask how you kept going, and you will point not to your strength, but to my mercy. You'll speak not from survival alone, but from redemption. Because I didn't just put you through it, I transform you through it. What once defined your pain will now become evidence of my promise. Don't hide it anymore. Don't pretend it never happened. Bring it to me. Let me breathe on it. Let me turn your valley into a voice. Let me use your weakness as a witness. You are not defined by your lowest point, you are refined by it. I'm not rewriting the past, I'm reframing it. And when I'm finished, what once looked like defeat will become a doorway into new authority. Your scars will shine not as reminders of brokenness, but as proof that healing happened there. So walk back through that place with me, not to dwell, but to reclaim. Not to relive the pain, but to retrieve the purpose bearing in it. What you thought was over will be the very thing I breathe new life into. And the world will watch as the place of your greatest undoing becomes the stage for my greatest unveiling. Get ready, child. The story isn't finished. In fact, the most powerful part is just beginning. You've been running longer than you realize, not with your feet, but with your thoughts. Dodging what could go wrong. Bracing yourself for worst-case outcomes. Rehearsing pain before it happens. Trying to outmaneuver disappointment before it knocks again. This fear hasn't always shown up with panic. Sometimes, it's come dressed as caution. It whispered, "Be careful," but it meant, "Stay small." It told you to prepare wisely, but really, it wanted you to stop hoping entirely. And tonight, I say, enough. I see the grip it's had on you. The invisible hands that squeezed your expectations until they no longer breathed. The hesitation in your decisions. The pause in your dreams. The tightness in your chest when you think about trusting again. But I didn't give you a spirit of fear. I give you power, I give you love, and I give you a sound mind. And I am speaking to that fear directly, not with tolerance, but with authority. Its reign ends here. You've mistaken fear for wisdom because it learned how to mimic protection. But fear does not protect, it paralyzes. It convinces you that safety means avoiding risk, when true safety is found in my presence, not in your control. You've overanalyzed, overprepared, and overcompensated in areas I never asked you to. And while you've called it discernment, I'm showing you now that it was fear in disguise. But I'm not angry with you. I understand how trauma taught you to expect loss. I understand how disappointment conditioned you to flinch at good news. But I'm here to retrain your heart, not with formulas, but with truth. I'm here to fill your inner world with boldness that doesn't rise from your own willpower, but from my spirit within you. Tonight, I release courage over your mind, Courage that silences lies before they form sentences. Courage that steadies your soul when uncertainty approaches. Courage that walks into unfamiliar rooms with the assurance that I sent you. This is not about becoming someone you're not. It's about returning to who I made you to be before fear distorted your view. Before betrayal changed how you loved. Before failure redefined your identity. Before anxiety wrote the future with dread. That version of you, the one who dreamed boldly, trusted deeply, and stepped forward with expectancy, still exists. And I am reviving that in you now. My courage doesn't remove risk, it removes the power of fear. You may still feel the flutter in your chest. You may still hear the whispers of uncertainty, but they will no longer have authority. I'm handing you keys tonight, keys to step out even when clarity is dim, to speak even when your voice shakes, to choose joy even when grief tries to linger. These keys aren't earned through perfection. They are released through trust. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to believe I am with you. What has stalked you in silence, the fear of failure, the fear of abandonment, the fear of not being enough, is breaking now. Not by force, but by truth. Because fear cannot coexist with revelation. And I'm revealing, right now, that you are held. You are sent. You are called. You are backed by the host of heaven. And there is nothing in this world that can stand against the one who walks with you. I'm not just giving you a moment of relief. I'm giving you a new mindset. One that wakes up each day expecting me to move. One that no longer flinches at opportunity. One that speaks boldly without apologizing for being chosen. Fear at its moment, but that moment is over. And the courage I'm pouring into you tonight will not fade at sunrise. It will become your language, your posture, your atmosphere. It will shape your decisions and fuel your prayers. It will anchor you when others around you waver. Stand up inside, child. Lift your eyes. Straighten your back. Not because of who you are in your own strength, but because of who I am within you. Fear has chased you long enough. But now, you're the one who will do the chasing. You'll chase my promises, chase peace, chase purpose, and fear will fall behind, powerless in the wake of courage I've placed in your heart. Before time began, before the first sunrise painted the sky or the earth felt the echo of footsteps, I had you in mind. I formed you with eternal precision, carved your identity with intention, and breathed purpose into your life that stretches beyond what your eyes can currently see. You are not the product of chance or coincidence. You are not merely responding to life. You are fulfilling something sacred, something that has been waiting for this exact hour. The moment you're living in, this very breath you're taking, is part of a divine setup that I wrote long before confusion entered your story. You may feel like you stumbled here, but I tell you, I brought you here on purpose. Not because you were perfect, but because you were ready. Every second that led you here was watched by heaven. The detours, the heartbreaks, the closed doors, the quiet seasons, they were not interruptions, they were preparation. I orchestrated a journey that could lead you to this exact point, not to break you, but to awaken you. I've been speaking to you in layers, in whispers, in moments you didn't even recognize were holy. That stirring in your spirit, that restlessness in your heart, that longing for something deeper, those were my fingerprints. They were the signs that your moment was coming. And now, it's here. Right now, everything inside you that's been buried under fatigue, disappointment, and delay is beginning to stir. Not because of new information, but because my spirit is calling your spirit to remember. Remember who you are. Remember what I said. Remember what I placed in you before the world told you what to be. This moment, this divine intersection, is a spark meant to reignite the flame that life tried to smother. You are not just receiving encouragement, you are receiving alignment. Heaven is bearing witness that something is being unlocked inside you right now that can no longer stay dormant. I don't speak without intention. I don't move without meaning. When I reach into time and press on your heart like I'm doing now, it is because something in your life is about to shift. You've been asking for signs, but I have not sent a sign. I've sent my voice. And when I speak, things that were frozen begin to thaw. Vision starts to return. Hope breathes again. And the ground under your feet becomes more than survival. It becomes sacred ground. This moment is not emotional hype. It's divine reality. You're standing in a now that was declared before you were ever formed. My plan for you didn't start today. It's eternal. And every attack, every lie, every moment that tried to convince you were too late, too flawed, too far off course, those were attempts to silence you before this happened. But they failed. Because here you are. Still standing. Still open. Still listening. And that's all I needed to breathe new life into what felt forgotten. You have not missed it. You are not too old. Too young. Too behind. Too wounded. You are right on time. Because the timeline of heaven doesn't respond to earthly delay. It responds to divine readiness. And this moment is proof that readiness has arrived. Everything is converging. The lessons, the losses, the stretching, the pruning, it's all aligning now for what I'm about to release. What I spoke over you is coming into view. Not in the distant future, but in the now. But it begins with your agreement. With your yes that says, God, I hear you. I receive this moment as mine. So pause and take this in. You're not just being encouraged. You're being activated. What you carry is awakening again. Not because you earned it, but because I'm reminding you. I've always been with you. I've always seen you. And I chose this moment, this holy second in the fabric of time, to whisper, you're not finished. You're not forgotten. You are right on time. Amen.